Welcome to Boxing with me, Skeptic, and today's topic is Tank versus Martin review. Now, man, I stayed up because where I am, is like UK time. I stayed up to watch this fight, and that was one hell of a fight. Now, like I said, it could never have been boring. Like, the fight could never have been boring. It was never one of those fights where you see inactivity. No, it was a strong pace from start to finish, and I knew that Frank would bring it. He brought it for like 6 rounds, like from round 1 to 5 or 6. No, Frank was out punching, landed more punches than Tank. But I predicted this because I knew that Tank always gives away the first few rounds. He always does that, not because he can't trade with the person, but it's because Tank has always, because people just think Tank just knocks people out. No, I think Tank is a very intelligent fighter. I've always stood on that. Like, he's a guy that would defend himself while you might be outlanding him, but he's watching your habits. He's watching what you're doing. He's seeing where he can take advantage of you down the line. And Tank knew that the pace at which Martin was setting from round 1 was too fast a pace to keep up in the later rounds. So Tank knew that all he had to do was defend himself and counter enough and stay in the game till the later rounds or mid rounds, and he did so. And if you look at what happened in round 7, Martin couldn't keep up anymore. He couldn't step on the gas as he was in the original rounds. And when Tank was working the body, I knew Martin was done. Like, I could hear the thud, because Tank might be a little man, but Jesus Christ, he can punch. I could hear the thud of those punches slamming on that man's body, and like, I knew that it was over with. I knew he was in trouble from that round 7, because when you see round 7, Tank really dominated that round from round 7, because 1 to 6 was really 1 to 5 or 6 was really Frank Martin's rounds, because Frank really took the first half of the fight, which, like I said, I wasn't surprised by that outcome. But from round 7 also, I wasn't surprised by the outcome, because Tank has already gotten the information he needed. He got the information he needed, worked his body. By round 8, that was a beautiful knockout. Even I screamed at that knockout. And yeah, that's the excitement of a Tank fight, and that's what you call, because a lot of people mistake knockout artists for one-trick ponies like Deontay Wilder. And yeah, you might not like me for getting at Deontay sometimes, but I keep saying it's not the same thing. Like, with Tank, you can see the artistry. You see how I can describe these things. You can see the artistry of what it takes to knock a man out. He backed him into a corner. He realized he could back Frank into a corner, and he pieced him up. Frank couldn't keep up the pace. So it didn't even matter that Frank was winning those rounds. And I wasn't even, while watching the fight, honestly, I wasn't even bothered that Frank was winning those rounds, because I knew that in the later rounds, Frank is not going to survive. He wasn't just going to survive. But kudos to Frank for bringing up a good fight, because I told you he would bring a good fight. I knew that Frank is a competitive person. Even if Tank wanted to slow things down, Frank wouldn't. Frank would dial up the heat. And that's the kind of guy he is. He's gonna do that. And Tank too is an explosive fighter, so the combination makes for an amazing fight. It was fantastic. One of the best this year. I like, for real, one of the best this year. And I know that Tank has a lot of detractors. I'm a critic and a fan of Tank, but I'm not a detractor of Tank. Like, I know Tank also has detractors, calling him zesty and all this stuff, and saying all these wild things about him and hoping he loses to Frank Martin. It's silly. He look like get your emotions out of boxing. I knew he wouldn't lose to Frank Martin. I knew it would have been a good fight. That Martin was going to bring it because I respect Martin. I know Martin's still going to be a world champion someday for sure. I respect Martin, but here's the thing: Martin was never going to beat Tank, and if he did, it would be a major upset. Martin was never going to beat Tank, so yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this fight. Tell me what you think. Did you enjoy the fight? I enjoyed it. Like and subscribe.